several years ago in the St. Petersburg Times, there was an article about Don Shula, the coach for the Miami Dolphins. And the story went that he and his family went on a vacation trip to northern Maine, to a very small town. And one afternoon it was pouring rain, and so they and their 5 children decided they would go to a movie at an afternoon matinee in the one theater in the town. When they walked into the theater, all the house lights were on, and there were only 6 people. And when they saw Shula coming in, they stood up and they applauded. Well, he and his wife sat down. He waved to them and he sat down. And he said to his wife, "I'm so amazed, we're 1,000 miles away from Miami." He said, "They must get the football games up here too." And just after that, one of the other men in the theater came up to him to shake his hand. And Shula said to him, "How did you recognize me?" And he said, "Sir, I have no idea who you are." But he said, "Just before you and your family came in the theater, the manager came in, and he said that unless 4 more people come, we're not going to show the movie." The scriptures today speak to us about humility. I think Don Shula was showing us a real act of humility there, because he laughed at himself first, and then he told the story to many other people. He was found it to be a very humbling experience, but he laughed at himself. And I think that's what Jesus is telling us in the scriptures today, that we have to be truly humble. What does being humble mean? Does it mean putting ourselves down? Does it mean showing disregard for gifts and talents we have, or denying the good that we have? It's not any of those things. It's something much more profound. Humility is not about ourselves. It's about others. Jesus said, "I have come not to be served, but to serve. Come and follow me, for I am meek and humble of heart." It's to follow Jesus and to imitate him in our lives, to realize that we depend upon God for all things, and that we need his grace in all that we do. And it's really the great commandment: love God above all things and your neighbor as yourself, to be humble. It doesn't mean that we do recognize our gifts and talents and thank God for them, but we use them for the good of others. And that's what the gospel is saying to us today. Last night in church, it was hotter than I could ever remember this church being. And so I only preached this much of my homily. And I'll do the same thing for you today, but I have to just comment on Jim and Joan here for their anniversary. It takes humility, doesn't it, to be married for 40 years or however many years? Because husband and wife, and 40 years ago at Immaculate Heart of Mary on Lansing Avenue in Cleveland, they stood before God and the whole church and said that we will love each other today and all the days of our life. That love means that I wish the highest good for you, and I will do anything to attain it. And that's what the secret of a strong marriage is, where 2 people are in it not for themselves, but for the other. And the result is happiness for both. And so today we thank them for their witness of their married life, in good times and in rough times. It's not always easy. But 3 children later and 4 grandchildren later, they come here today with happy hearts to renew their vows after Mass. And so I thank you for your witness today. And it's just a reminder to all of us in our vocations that to be humble before God. He gives us all that we are and have, and he asks us to nourish it and to take care of it. And if we do that, the result is going to be a deeper relationship of love with God and with one another. So we take that thought with us today, and let's be humble this week in all that we do.